Hello, everyone. Welcome. You are now inside bonus content. We're all in bonus content at the end of the day. Nabeshin, you had a ranked list idea again, so we're going back to the well. It's the only well we know, so we're doing it. Application window, this one. Can you guys see it all right?
I found out that they took down the video.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
It's all right. We'll get that boot rip later. So, Nabeshin, this is the video game controllers tier list maker. We're going to tier list all of the video game controllers. There's a lot here. I don't know all of these. So we're going to have to talk through it. What do we want our tiers to be? Right now we have S, A, B, C, D, and wow, this stinky remote used for gaming. Was that the one that was there?
Yeah, they're already pre-made.
Okay.
Sometimes they have interesting stuff.
Sometimes don't. Did you pick this one because it had a fun thing at the end?
No, it was the only one that had like one of the quote unquote controllers that I wanted on there.
Oh, which is the bongos, I assume?
No.
Damn. So, what's the best controller?
The bongos.
You're right. The only S tier. Now we have to just choose one of the second best controllers.
Well, actually, I don't know. Best. It's got to be a more modern controller, right?
Yeah, I feel like the
Modern
Xbox One
ergonomics are-
and PS4 controllers are both pretty great. I think the Pro controller is also great.
I've never held an Elite controller either.
It's very nice. It has a very good weight to it. I don't think the Elite controller is on here separate though.
Where do you want to put the N64 controllers? This is the whole reason I even brought it up. I shit on that so hard.
And look at it, dude. It has its own dong, dude. You know? Like right in the
Wow, this stinky remote used for gaming.
Nah, dude. You can put 3 whole hands on that controller.
Yeah, you can. If you have a friend or a third arm, you could do it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that they did that in a couple of N64 games, like
Really?
for co-op or whatever. Yeah, you'd have a friend grab one of the things.
So was the idea that you would like hold the sides and it would be like a classic controller, and then you switch to the middle to make it a more modern controller?
I think the idea was you turn it upside down, you stick it through it, so you have your own personal Triton.
Yeah, it's true. It's a attachment for the vibration thing.
I'm pretty sure like you're supposed to always hold the leftmost, in the picture, right? The one that's furthest to the right, you always hold that one.
Yes. And your left hand is in the center.
And then for like more like side scroller, like 2D titles, you only need the pad.
Of which there were none. Games? of which that none happened.
Yeah. And then you could, move your hand down to the dong in the middle.
Oh man.
For that good video game that you need the analog stick.
Yeah, the Mario 64 is the Zeldas.
Which was most of them.
Which was all of them, actually. There was no most, Scott. It was all of them. I'm trying to think of because the D-pad was always switch the map, basically. And the thing about the trade-off with the weirdness of this controller is that the L button basically was never used. You use the trigger, the Z button, for everything.
Yeah. Well, I put my hand in between them so I could reach everything.
You were just like, I'm doing a thing with my hands, but just reaching down to the analog.
Yeah, it was my hand at the time could fit between the little 2 prongs, so I put my palm there.
Yeah,
and I could use both, and I could reach to hit the Z.
I like the thinking through. Somebody designed this fucking thing and was like, yeah. This is it, guys. This is the next generation.
Just had a big old dong in the middle.
Just a big dong in the middle. How do you feel about the N64 controller, Nabeshin?
I've never liked it. I've always hated the controller, honestly.
I'm not a huge fan of it. I think
as far as controllers goes, it's pretty bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. It like
because
I liked
from
it
what
as a
I
kid.
remember, it just wasn't that sturdy as well.
Yeah, like the analog stick
It was
always
still
felt
a
broken.
Dreamcast controller, which, by the way, that's not getting ranked. It doesn't belong. It doesn't belong.
All right, the Dreamcast controller is below the bottom.
It's below the bottom.
Now let's talk about a classic though. The Super Nintendo controller. That's an A tier controller, I think. Yeah. The only thing by like modern standards, it's weird to hold because it doesn't have any grips. But
Sure.
but it still feels good. It's just different, you know, like by modern
I
standards.
felt, yeah, I can probably go get one right now and say, you know what? No, I don't care.
I don't care either, Scott. I'm with you. I actually got one of the like the wireless ones that Nintendo sells. I have one of those. It's really nice.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the grips, the N64 style grips.
Mhm.
I don't care for those all that much.
But like I care for them in like the Xbox controller and the PS4 controller, so
Well, they
I-
have like
I don't-
but they're
11
different.
buttons.
Yeah, they're different. Let's see. I'm trying like let's do. I would say that the PS4 and Xbox One controllers are both great. I don't know which one. There it is.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah,
I would
that's
I
fair.
would also put the Pro controller there. I don't like Nabeshin. I
Pro
know
controller's fine. Yeah,
you're the only one that has also used that. Where would you put that?
I own it. I used to.
Do you
own
have one?
a controller.
Okay.
I had one. Yeah,
It's
The
just
Pro
got a good weight.
controller's okay. It's just like the D-pad's not that
it's
great.
a serviceable
yeah.
controller.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll put it down a notch then.
I
Like-
think that the 360 controllers, the wireless ones, were also quite good.
Yes.
They were the best. They were the best controller available at that time. Significantly better than the
Yes.
PlayStation 2 controllers.
Yeah, I would almost put that above the Xbox One controller, except that the D-pads on that one is just so bad. So
Yeah.
I can't really defend that.
Yeah.
I think they tie S tier.
Okay. I'm good with
You know
that.
what-
The
you know
360 is a
what other
classic.
controller deserves to be an S.
What?
Hit him with the GameCube controller.
Oh yeah.
That controller's great.
Love it. Love it. It's
the loudest controller ever made.
yeah, the Wavebird baby. It is absolutely a classic.
Oh, you know when you hit those triggers.
Oh yeah. You know, you hear that click.
All right, so there's one more thing we gotta fix before we move forward.
Sure. Don't you dare touch
Get
my
those bongos down
Don't
to
you
an A.
dare touch my bongos.
Move the fucking bongos down to an A.
Wow, the sticky remote used for gaming. I bet you the
Actually,
bongos.
the
I bet you
bongos
can find
were
bongos.
sticky.
Yeah, I bet you that they are pretty.
Now, the bummer thing here is that they don't separate out the PS3 controller for the DualShock 3 versus just the 6-axis. Because the 6-axis alone controllers are fucking garbage. I've never like held something that I feel like I could just twist in my hand and it would turn to dust. You know what I mean? But like that is the original PS3 controller.
I like that they put a fucking mouse and keyboard on this tier.
Yeah. Did they? Where?
Yeah, it's next to the Switch.
That's
controller.
literally,
Oh my
why I
God.
picked this list, just because they put that.
Absolutely.
That is hilarious.
That is really funny, actually. I didn't even notice. Let's do what the Steam controllers on here?
I don't know.
No one here has even tried it. I don't.
Yeah. It's sticky. Stinky, excuse me.
Mhm. I will put the PlayStation 2 controller in particular, like number or letter B, maybe.
Yeah,
Sure.
B's good. B's
B
good.
tier seems correct.
I want to stick that original ass Nintendo controller, that Famicom controller, at C.
I'm good with that. That's
Maybe at B.
I'm thinking C is good because a lot of people do like that controller.
Yeah, it's a good controller.
It's simple.
I don't know.
It's
Good
great.
is the right
It's
Yeah,
word.
good
for its time.
Good for
I
its
mean,
time.
none of these controllers hold up against the current ones. So,
Yeah. But like
except
I
for
mean,
C is exactly
the
what I was
GameCube
thinking.
controller kind of does.
yeah, except
yeah.
for the GameCube.
GameCube
controller.
controller for forever.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole issue with this one is that it's a square.
Yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
I could actually see people saying, you know, this is just straight up comfortable because these edges are digging in my hand.
Yes. Pretty much.
Where's my fucking light gun at?
Yeah, there's no light gun on here. They have the fucking Wii remote and nunchuck, but they don't have the mouse and
And
keyboard
they have bongos.
and bongos. But no, there's no Wii Zapper.
Where's my guitar controller?
Yeah. The guitar is actually a missed opportunity. So
This weird ass looking controller next to the Dreamcast controller.
No, the other one. I was
this
looking
one?
at that too. I was like, what the fuck is that?
that's a Genesis, right?
Is that a
Wait,
Genesis?
which one?
This
No.
one.
Yes, original Genesis.
That's
All right, now you can place that one.
Yeah, Nabeshin, where you want this?
That's with the NES, honestly, because like it's so cumbersome with it being a 3-button controller. When
It
it's
also,
like
like-
most games.
Look at this shape, dude. Like,
Yeah, that's
what
what I'm
shape
saying.
is this?
Weird as fuck.
Like it's good for what it is. Like the problem is like most games didn't support it. So like when you have Street Fighter on the Genesis, you have to press start just to switch from punch to kicks. So
Yeah,
it's
that
kind of
is-
awful
that
as far
is
as that. But
awful.
like,
Okay, you see that controller next to the PS1 controller?
This fucking thing. Is this a Neo? No, this is a virtual console controller.
That's a D tier. That is a D tier
Yeah,
controller.
that's a D
that
tier.
fucking thing.
That is the virtual console thing, I think.
it's Virtual Boy, yes.
Virtual Boy, yes. Sorry. Where are we putting the Duke, y'all? Where does the Duke go?
I maybe held that like thing like twice in my life.
Me too.
What, an original Xbox controller?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This like solid B tier controller.
I think it's B. Like, I would put it with the PS2. It's like
It has some basic ergonomics, you know.
it's just too big,
Yeah.
you know.
I also think the PS1 controller is basically the same as the PS2 controller.
I don't think it's
it-
as good. Or
yeah,
do you mean the
PS2
DualShock?
is arguably one of my favorites.
Me too.
Even though
DualShock.
it's yes.
DualShock 1, I would put here. Like, they're comparable. The DualShock 2 and the DualShock 1. The OG PS1 controller, though, I would put that here. C.
Mm-hmm.
I think that works. What about is this the Master System controller?
Is there any way to add a tier?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we add a tier?
Yes.
Okay, we need a tier above S tier.
Yeah.
Hit the cog, and then there's an option at the bottom that says add a tier above or below.
Add row above. There we go. New. What's above S tier?
S plus.
God tier. What is the one God tier controller?
Well, this is mostly to break up the S tier.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure the GameCube and the keyboard belong in the tier above the other two.
That's fair.
I'm good.
Though-
I like that.
I don't know. I like when you zoomed in on the mouse and keyboard earlier. I was like, they didn't pick very good versions.
Yeah,
of
this
the mouse and
mouse
keyboard.
is...
That's like some Dell shit.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony's like, where are my macro buttons?
Yeah, well, I don't have any of those on my keyboard.
Okay. I don't listen, man. I don't judge. The gamepad is awful. Is that a hot take? Is that a take at all?
You mean, are you talking about the Wii U gamepad?
The Wii U gamepad.
No,
It's not the worst, but I do not love it.
I've hardly used it. Because I didn't use Mario Maker like that.
Mhm.
And anytime I even played like something like Wonderful
It is-
101 who could use it, I used like
You use the Pro
um,
controller?
yeah, I used the Pro controller for that.
I used the gamepad through the whole thing for that. Maybe that's why I didn't like it as much.
I would say that
So,
the Wii U touch console thing
Mm-hmm.
was a
Gamepad.
better handheld console than the Switch.
Really?
Yeah.
Have
Switch
you
is
held
only
one of those
really
things
good-
recently?
Yes.
I don't think so, man.
You know how terrible it is to hold a Switch?
I
with
love
its,
the
like,
Switch.
Flat fucking back.
I love it, dude. It doesn't have the weird
How
curve
am I?
thing.
How am I supposed to support?
well, here's
the
the
weight of a
thing,
Switch with
Alex.
these two
You
little
bought
nubs
grips
on the
for
top?
it. Because you kind of had to,
For
but
what?
you bought grips. The Wii thing. Sorry, the Wii thing.
I don't have grips for it. I just have the normal one.
All I'm saying is like pick up a Switch and then like like how you would normally hold it, and then look at how your hand connects with the back of the Switch, because it doesn't. Because there's no ergonomics there. It's just fucking
Yeah, but the thing on the Wii U gamepad wasn't like ergonomical. It was just like a
no, but it had some heft to it, so you could get your hand around
But
and-
it's
and hold on to it.
It's like awkwardly light.
That's good.
No, I like.
You know
a good
why?
weight
Because
for
I
the
can hold it
controller.
up for longer above my face while I play video games in bed.
Yeah,
before
that's
it
fair.
falls on my face and wakes
It wakes you up because you're
like,
asleep.
falling asleep. And I'm falling asleep. And, bam!
I've fallen and can't get up.
You know.
the Wii U Pro controller, I would probably put on A tier. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
I like the Wii Pro controller a ton. Yes.
I like it a lot. I would. It's comparable to the Switch Pro controller for me. So
The Switch Pro controller has issues for me.
Okay, I see where you're coming with the D-pad.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
For the Switch controllers, the Joy-Con.
Yeah.
Is that one picture rating it for Joy-Con in the Joy-Con
Grip
thing?
I think so.
Or is it Joy-Con by itself? Because I think those are vastly different rankings.
I agree.
Because
but-
Joy-Con with little strap thing that adds shoulder button is solid, stinky thing we use for gaming.
Mhm.
Impossible to hold on to.
I like having them separate.
The buttons and the joysticks are different sides based on
based on if you're like rocking the Solo with one of the Joy-Cons on its side, you're basically in a waking nightmare. I think
exactly.
I think they mean in the Joy-Con grip because they are in the grip in this picture. So we have to go off of that.
Dude, it's just if you get the one that has the stick in the middle, you're just like, I'm
dude,
bugged.
you're like
someone doesn't love me.
The left or it was the right Joy-Con. It's like, well, I guess we're not friends anymore after this. After this Mario Party sesh, I would
sacrificed our friendship for the better controller.
I would put this in the C tier. The Joy-Con in grip, I would put it C tier.
Okay.
C or D. What about the updated Xbox controller, the non-Duke? I think that's also just B. I think it's just the same. It's just smaller. Sure. I don't know why the classic controller is on here. But also it's like
good.
the classic controller Pro.
It's basically the enhanced version of a Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah, and I would put it right there.
Yeah, 100%.
It's got just more shoulder buttons and analog sticks. Now the nunchuck and remote, man. Where does that go? I get like C or B maybe?
Probably C.
Yeah, I just don't feel strongly about it. I didn't hate it, but I certainly
sure as hell didn't love it.
I did not love it. It took the words out of my mouth, my friend. I'll just put this here. So these last three, where are we putting the Atari stick?
All the way at the bottom.
All right, I'm good with that. I do not like controllers like that. I'll put the Dreamcast one there too.
No, whoa, no, get that out of there.
You're right. We're not unranked.
Yeah, I think that the bottom is actually D tier, and the one below that is a certain special. You know what I mean?
Sure. There's only two kinds of stinky controllers for me.
Well, there's really only one because the N64 is more like a solid B.
You're trying to put this at B? I'll give you D.
It's better than all the controllers in.
No.
I think you let the fact that it has an extra dong on it.
How can you not let that affect your idea?
All I see is more opportunity, right?
For a friend, for a family member. And then what is this other Sega controller? Is that the?
I think it's just a 6-button Sega
Genesis?
controller. So yeah, so you just put it above wherever the Genesis is at.
Cool.
It'll be right where it needs to be.
This is it. This is our ranking. Let's see. I'll take a quick screenshot too, so we can hold on to this for posterity. Heaven forbid we forget. Let's see what the community rank was. There are no tier lists to show.
Nice.
There are not enough rankings in the community. Aw.
Oh, there you go.
No fun for us. I didn't mean to turn it off. Cool. That's it.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
All right. See you next week.
All right, that was the whole show. Thank you for coming to Rank It, our new Irrational Passions podcast. Mike Burgess hopped in the chat long enough to say that the Wii U gamepad is the GOAT. So I hope you feel validated, Tony.
Yeah, obviously there's at least dozens of us.
You guys ready?
Is that really a hot take to think that the Wii U gamepad is better than the Switch as far as a portable controller is concerned.
I would say most people would disagree with you.
I mean, but just like from an ergonomics and usability standpoint, rather than one is obviously newer and had a better vision when it was being created.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. You know what?
All I'm saying is it sucks to hold a Switch.
See, like I would say most people like the Switch and like holding it. Have you held a Switch Lite yet, Tony? I'm curious.
No, I've never even seen one. Well, I've seen in person.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what you think of it.
It's too small.
It is small. D-pad's great though. Have you held one?
Though, I didn't think I would like the Nintendo 2DS, but I did.
Yeah, the OG 2DS, like the weird flat thing that Scott had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like weirdly like okay, it's wider at the top that kind of fits a bigger hand pretty all right. I would be curious to hear your thoughts on the Switch Lite, Nabeshin. But we'll rank handheld consoles next time. Let's get this podcast started. You guys need to take a break or anything? Need to grab water?
Nope.
Cool. Let's do this. I don't know where my inhaler went. Oh well. No! Just take a sip of water and hope for the best instead. It is Saturday, November 2nd, 2019, and you are listening to the Irrational Passions Podcast. I am Alex O'Neill, your host this evening, and joining me this week, we have Mr. Scott Guthier.
Hello.
Mr. Tony Horvath.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for bringing that energy. And Mr. Brian Nabeshin Jackson.
Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us. Look at
You
us.
thought we'd be here.
Not me. It's one of our best intros ever. Already. That's winning the fucking Nabeshin intro award. I'm fucking calling shot right now. Hey everyone, welcome to Irrational Passions Podcast, a video games podcast. We got the main four here tonight. No editor. Jarrett said that he wanted to come on after Jedi Fallen Orders come out because he wants to talk about that. Any of y'all looking forward to that game?
No.
Okay. I am, but
I'm not big on Star Wars around here.
Yeah, that's true. I'm also not huge on Star Wars myself, so I guess the thing is apparently it is similar to like a Dark Souls game, which has me interested. But yeah.
Does he? I don't know. You even say. Does he have that game or not?
He does not.
Okay.
But Jared is very much interested. And I I think I've said it before, but anything Respawn does will at least give me. I'll give it my attention, right? I'm gonna give it a shot at the very least. I just want to talk. I Tony and Scott. You guys might not be as interested in this topic, so forgive me if I just pick Nabeshin's brain here for a minute. But in a non-spoiler way, because none of us have played it, I just want to talk about Death Stranding for a minute. We talked about it a little bit last week, but the reviews are out. I just want to check in, Nabeshin. How are you feeling? Are you interested? Are you out? Are you in?
Oh, I'm just where I was always at.
Hopeful.
I mean, hopeful was never even a thing. It was just for real talk for me, for a good minute, for what people were expecting for what it is. It's I just didn't they never really showed anything as far as much as far as just him walking around and doing stuff like that. There hasn't been one real action scene that you've seen from that game. So I didn't know what people really thought that would. I don't know if he thought he was just holding it back the entire time, and it wouldn't mostly be that, but that's what it seemed like to me at the begin with, and
me too.
And like I said, for me personally, it's I already saw that this was gonna be a artsy or more of a game where it's because divisive is not really what I want to say. Because
Yeah.
like that's the word of the week this week.
I think that's an easy way to boil it down. I think there are more nuanced ways to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Like what I was say, like the main thing I said with the Last Guardian is like it asked a lot from the player, and it's like and like what it asks of you, like that can just either make people jump on it or jump off of it. And like I think that's what Death Stranding more or less is. It's like it asks a lot from you, and like if you're willing to go for that ride, I think you can enjoy that immensely. But like if you're not, if it doesn't seem like it's something that you can just like make it like encapsulate you and just like does make you. It's like if you're not willing to put like your whole self into it, I don't think you can get like the whole experience out of it. And like, and this is one of those things like it's like one of those things that like games aren't made for everybody type of thing. I guess I don't know.
Sure.
Like nor they should be like like as far as like accessibility as far as playing is sure, but like as far as like make the game for me the way I want it to be, like I don't think it could possibly be that.
And I don't think that's how people who make games should make games. I don't think they should like cater in that way. It's different when it's something like Apex Legends, right? Of like this is broken or this doesn't work or this makes the experience that you want the players to have, like this gun makes that not fun for other people to interact with, right? Like if something's broken or overpowered or right now, that's one thing, but like you shouldn't just make all those changes for the player. You should make those changes for the game, right?
I think the biggest takeaway from Death Stranding, from in my eyes, I can see, is like no one's really like saying like this is something that they've played before, and no one is saying like this is something like you can like instantly compare it to something else. So like this is something new. Like even if it is like you can like probably be great at saying like it's like a walking simulator or something like that, but like it's probably a little bit more than that. And it's like as far as like story and as far as like the way they're telling the story and as far as what you're interacting with and what you're doing with and what the multiplayer like is with that game, like it's definitely something different. And then different something different could be exciting, and it can be something that's like something you're not into at all. So I don't know.
Yeah. I like I have not really read any reviews or really seen anything on it. I've just kind of like I did like a vibe check. I peeked in my head in the room, yelled out vibe check, and read some tweets. It definitely seems like something that I really want to try. And I feel like this game might click with me, just going off the things that I've heard. I'm hoping, right? But like honestly, the idea of like just something different, like you said, is really cool. I think it's really exciting. I texted you about this, Nabeshin, just saying like I'm really excited that Kojima is at least just trying something different. Whether especially it seems like very different than what he's done in the past. Maybe like still a third-person game or whatever, but like it's not about action. It's not about this. It's that. It's still about the story. It sounds like, but I like that. I don't know. I'm all for things that are different, right? Like I think indie games have been such a great way for us as video game players to find things that are different and new. Like all of us in the 9 years of this podcast have found like an indie darling that we've all loved. Some have even like gone as far as to become our game of the year that year, like Undertale or something, right? Like we've all like indie games are so small and experimental, and they try different things and they engage you into genres and types of games that you don't know anymore. To see someone try and do that on a big budget level I feel like it's just not a thing I've seen before,
Well, it's also the type of thing that pretty much only Kojima is going to do.
Yeah.
He's going to be essentially the only one who's going to do that.
And he is a big enough name that like somebody like Sony can take that kind of risk on him and it'll probably turn out fine, right? Like hopefully there won't be like huge layoffs or something, like some catastrophic failure at the end of this, right? And I think maybe like even if this game isn't good by the collective unconscious's standard or whatever. Like, I think it is a thing that is good for video games to just try different things and then try and make a world that you can explore that isn't about killing things, you know? Like, I think that's good. So
Do you kill things in that game? I honestly don't.
I don't know. That was me making an assumption. But like I believe that game isn't generally about fighting things, so I don't know. I could be wrong, right? Because I've been avoiding as much about it as I can. Nabeshin, you called out, what was it, Danny O'Dwyer's review?
Yes.
That you said did a good job of not ruining things, but also explaining what things could be ruined about it.
It was more of like at the very beginning of it, and like his review is just like just like a quick encapsulation of what he just generally thinks of the game, but it's more of like he was like, hey, I hope you see me. I hope that you see me first before you see any of the other reviews or anybody else's takes on the game, because like he feels like the way people can explain this game, like takes away the specialness about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like like this like like generally like when someone's trying to describe the game to you, they could like kind of tell you like the abouts about it, and it's like not really like, oh, this will scare you off or this will really get you into it, but like it's more of like going in there blind is like the best way to experience that game. And like the way he reviews the game is more of like, hey, like I walked through this field for a while, like it got kind of boring for like a good while, but then like I got to a point that was like really interesting and really captivating for me for that, and then it got really really boring again, like with the same like general like stuff like that. But I think he explains it like in such a great way. Like I encourage anybody who like
he's on the fence,
who wants to know about the game but don't want to know about the game, just like to check that out. Really,
yeah. I'm really excited to play. It comes out Friday. We'll talk about it next week. We'll see if I can get a guess. I might try and get Blessing on that episode because he's also really quote unquote. There's no way this game can be bad. Blessing Adeoye Jr. But I texted him about it this week, and it was just like, hey, we're both very excited about it. He's like, I didn't know I could get more excited for this. I don't know if I'm as excited as he is, but I'm really curious. So I just want to talk about it a little bit, real quick. But let's get into the meat and potatoes. I want to start off with a little bit of housekeeping, just because a ton of stuff went up on irrationalpassions.com this week, of which this podcast is a part of. And I want to call out a couple of my favorite bits of those. So George Cruz did a review of Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. Good news, Nabeshin. Monkey Ball's back. And we had a great primer for Trails of Cold Steel 3 from Scott White, which is like essentially a mini guide. Like here's what you need to know before or during or after you jump into this game. And it's great. And if you've never read any of his like Professor RPG guides, they're very good. They're very thorough, but they're very friendly, right? Like it sets up a lot of like the stuff that you don't know about it, or like, hey, like this is what kind of JRPG or RPG this is, and here are the things that you should just pay attention to. So check that out. And Mike and I streamed Luigi's Mansion for 8.5 hours this week, which was so much fun. Archive of that should be, going up in segments this coming week, but rationalpassions.com. It's a place to be. It's a place to check it out. You should, if you haven't already. Let's talk about the games that we've been playing, though. Nabeshin, why don't you kick us off? What you got? How you feeling about video games this week?
I don't know. Like I should say I guess I say the big.
Oh yeah, that's right. Like, you did a big stream as well. We had 2 big streams this week.
Mostly just one, but like like weirdly enough, like I played 24 hours like straight of Danganronpa.
I can't believe you didn't finish it.
Yeah, that's weird. And I kind of mainlined it too because I didn't like do any like side talking or anything like that. Like because usually I like to absorb myself in and like try to talk to people on my way to like wherever my destination is, and like no, I just skipped it and stuff like that, and just like went straight to the main stuff. But like
You did play a video game this week though.
yeah, I think it's I really think it's fucking insane that like I was not insane. That's probably the wrong word for it, but like I'm flabbergasted at myself that like I played it for 24 hours and like there was no low points for me. I didn't get bored of it or anything like that.
That's
and
great.
obviously, you know, like I played this game before and like I got sucked into it before, so like I knew I would get into it. But like, you know, I thought I'd be like into it for like 8 hours and then like, oh, okay, I'll be done with this for a while, or
Yeah.
like something like that. But or like I'll just need to take like a big break. Like I took little breaks in between, but like, you know, it was like I was in it and like I enjoyed it, and like even though I knew the twists and turns for that game, like it still just like engulfed me in a big way. Like when I did my my list as far as like ranking my favorite games and stuff like that, like I had it at number 10, and like even then I was like, ooh, is that too high? It's like it was kind of like I was thinking like maybe I gave it too much credit, or like or just like I don't know, like there's other games, like I don't know why I put it up this high, but like yeah, it totally deserves to be in that spot for me. Like like, there's just a level of emotions when I play that game that's like just nothing else. like this seriously, it's like it just like because like when we're talking about like vanilla thing around it too, like we're not even talking about the other ones. And like if I would say like the 10 that number 10 spot, I would say like it's like encapsulate the entire series, I would say, because like you know, like if we're going to be real about like the first thing around, but like the first two cases are great, and then like the third one was like stupidly predictable.
What's the
and
third
then, like,
one? Just the case. You don't have to tell me who the murderer was.
I'm trying to think how to say it. Robo Justice.
Oh, the elevator. I should maybe that's in the castle. Is that the third one, or am I? Is that
No.
two?
That's two.
That is two. Fuck.
Robo Justice is someone gets killed with a mallet, and then like
Oh
you,
yeah.
yeah, another person gets killed with a mallet, and then like you go back to the first person, he's still alive, and then it's like, oh wait, then he gets killed by a mallet.
Yeah, but I think that's fun while you're in it. You know.
Oh no, yeah, it's fun, but like you know, like it's like you knew who it was from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like is that was like the only like thing about that one that's like that took me away.
Yeah, fair.
Like even like when I first played, that's like, oh yeah, it's totally that person.
They make it good because you have to logic your way there in the case, though. You have to explain how they did it, which is tough, I think, if I remember correctly. Because it was like somebody who only had a key to. It was like a weird thing.
It was more of like they when you went through it, you went through a sequence of events, and like they had numbers on like 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it was like,
yes.
oh, you thought it was in this order, but in reality,
Yeah,
it's like in a totally different order. So it's like
that
was too hard for me to decipher, at least personally.
I think the fourth one, which is the locked room one, right? That's the one that was very predictable for me.
Okay, yeah, totally, yeah.
So I get you, man. It's been a while since I played that first game. Well, you see, like the other games are a little bit more vivid for me.
Yeah.
What, like, for you, because you've always said, or I think you've said that you like the second one the most, right?
No, I still think the first one's still the best one.
Okay. Because, yeah, that first one is, like, it's stellar, man.
Oh, yeah, like, it's stellar, and, like, in the bubble of just the first one, like, if you don't even think about the sequels, because, like, if you just think of that one as a singular game, I think it's, like, a magical game.
Yeah. It's number 22 on my list, which I feel like is right for me.
Mm-hmm. Like if you get to that end of the game of just the first game and like don't even play like a sequel of that or something like that, and you just you don't know what goes, well, you don't know what's outside that door. So it's like it was like a good feeling with that, I feel.
That's the most satisfying, unsatisfying ending of a video game. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It is made better by the circumstances by which it happens, but that's also like the tension of like, what the fuck happened is what makes the second game so great. I would say until you find out what happened, and it gets a little wonky, but I still love it. Like I think just everything that happens in the last act of that game, I think what chapter 6 or whatever, is like so good. Like figuring just everything from like so early on in that story, you start to question again, and it makes you question everything that you've seen throughout that game. It's even if you don't have to, right? Like you're overthinking at that point, but the game like manipulates you into that corner, and it's weird because like I think that first game is like the most straightforward.
Yes,
but also like because it's the first one that you're playing, you don't really know what to expect. Playing through that first game, I mean, we've talked about it on the show before, like that my like weird 17 straight hours of playing that game. Like, it is so hard to put that game down. Did you feel that while you were streaming it again, like playing through it again?
Oh yes, 100%. Because it's like I said, I know everything. I know what's gonna happen, but like the characters are so good, it's written so good, and like it's just like the moments and like the twists and turns and like the reveals and stuff like that is still just as good as it's ever been. And like it makes me think about like how good 2 is because of like how better, like not really the story is per se, but like how good the murders are and how good that gets. And V3 is just insane with that.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole new level as far as that. And that's what makes that one almost the best one, but not really. Because like, how it goes, but like
it's almost too much, I would say.
Yes.
In the third one, and like the thing in the second one where it was like, oh, he laced one of these fire extinguisher things to have explosive in it, is like, this was too far for me. But like I was still in, like at that point, 5 chapters deep, I was like, well, I'll see this through, but that was a little much. The unluckiest. Oh yeah, it's they play with everything that they set up, like no stone left unturned. I think about like in the third game, the scribbled message that slowly unravels throughout that game, and it's literally that third game is all right. Danganronpa is all right. No, you're right. But like I think that first game is just like, it's because it is one of those things, because it was the first one that did it, and it was between like too much and too little, right? Like it really walked the line, especially like for a visual novel. That first game is, I think, the peak.
100%.
Yeah, I peeked in on your stream a couple of times, but you seem to be having fun. I liked your the little overlay you made for it. It was really good.
Yeah,
I wanted to send you like the IP logo with a black background, so it wasn't like just white.
I couldn't like get it the way I wanted to, like all the way, because I had to work earlier that day, so it was like I rushed the end parts as far as like playing that rational patches and extra life one, and so like that was kind of sloppy. But I at least did the whole thing I wanted to, like on the left side, you could see where I was at. Like if you were someone who played Danganronpa and you came into my stream, you would see like who was alive and who was dead. So I was like, oh, okay, so I don't really have to explain that to you. It's like, where are you at in the story? There it is right there on the side.
Yeah.
So
it was good. It was slick. I liked it. That was for Extra Life. That was what, Tuesday to Wednesday. It was fun. I'm so glad that you did that.
It's totally like a thing too, where it's like if Death Stranding was out like next week, like I'll probably go straight into 2. It was just so much fun.
Yeah. So you still haven't finished 1 yet?
No, I got distracted with taking my nephew to work and like helping my mom out, and like just like this extra like stuff for our friends, and like kind of funny right now. So like that's gonna be where I'm gonna be at for this weekend, but like hopefully I'll get right back into it after that.
Hell yeah. Did you play anything else this week?
Just some Aladdin, that Disney classic.
Oh yeah, it came out, didn't it?
Yeah, I played Aladdin.
Does it have both versions on there?
It has the Genesis version and the Super Nintendo version and the Game Boy. No, it has the Genesis version, the Game Boy version, and the Game Boy Color version of Aladdin.
Dang, no Super Nintendo.
No,
That was the only
that's
version I played.
Yeah, but like the Lion King version has the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy version of that. So,
That's a good idea. That Disney Classics collection. It's smart.
Yeah. Too expensive, but it's worth it.
Yeah. The does it have? It doesn't have Castle of Illusion on there, right?
No.
That's a bummer.
Get that Genesis Mini, dude. It has it on there.
Oh yeah, I will not get that, but that is a fair call out. I also played the Super Nintendo version of that. I don't know if it's different or not. I'm sure.
Don't you have that PS3 version of it?
The Genesis collection or whatever.
No,
Or of Castle of Illusion. No, I do. You're right. I do. I do have that PS3 version. My brother got that, and I just have it on my PS3. That's a good. I forgot about that. Holy shit. that was a pull for me. Cool. Yeah, Danganronpa, man. What a magical game.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it. I gotta get you to play the third one, Tony. One of these days.
Okay.
Is that
On PC.
it is on PC now. Is that what you've been playing, Nabeshin?
Yeah, that's literally I can think of what I've been playing.
Cool. Tony, what about you? Video games. Juegos.
League of Legends,
Yeah.
Clash of Clans, and some Satisfactory.
The usual suspects.
Yep, nothing new.
Okay. What about you, Scott?
Some more usual suspects over here. I kind of wanted to get into Luigi's Mansion, but I took a look at the release date and I was like, I'm not gonna have time to get into that before the show.
It's okay.
So I'm not gonna worry about it.
I can tell you a little bit of my impressions of Luigi's Mansion 3 if you'd like. Without spoilers, of course.
All right.
I played 9 hours or 8.5 hours of Luigi's Mansion 3 this week with Mike Burgess on stream. It was so fun. So like
I got a question for you.
Please.
Did they make it more like 1 or 2?
1. Absolutely like 1. Is that what you wanted?
I'm excited.
Yeah, dude. This feels like a direct follow-up to Luigi's Mansion 1. And having just played the Luigi's Mansion 1 for book club, like, my God. This is everything I wanted a modern Luigi's Mansion to be. And more, honestly. Like, there's stuff about it that is, like it weirdly references other video games in a fun, very Nintendo way. Some Nintendo games, some non-Nintendo games. So, yeah, Luigi's Mansion 3, we played most of it, I assume. We got through floor 10 of the location. Yeah.
Fight.
We did a lot of boss fights.
I mean that one that you just beat to get to floor 10. Because I literally saw what that was on stream.
Uh-huh.
The one with the pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one seemed excruciating.
That one was brutal. That like the floaty mechanics in that section are the only thing that I think Mike and I agreed were not good. But everything else was great. Like essentially, you know, it's weirdly Metroidvania-y, right? It's not like that, I would say, but it seems like you might get some other things that let you go back and get some of the collectibles that you might have missed. But it's super smart the way they did it, and it feels like they kind of gave it the Mario 3D platformer treatment of like, hey, we're going to introduce a new unique mechanic for this floor, and we're going to kind of thoroughly explore it, and then we're going to incorporate it into the kind of final part of that area, and then you're going to go to the next floor, and you're never going to see it again. You're going to see a whole new thing that is just for that area, that is kind of more themed to that area, and so on and so forth, right? So it's not like
they kind of did that with 1.
They did kind of do that with 1, but like it was a little bit steadier, right? And like the thing about 1 is that a lot of cases it was like you go here, go to this room, right? You have to either catch some ghosts or do like a quick puzzle, and then you get a key that will take you to. It'll tell you exactly what the next room you got to go to is, and you go there. And like you go from one room to the next, right? You just kind of go where it tells you to. This feels a little bit more freeform, right? Like you can kind of walk around and explore a little bit more. It's not like huge areas that you need to be exploring, but like you feel a little bit more of that freedom of like I'm just like checking out what's in this room and what's over here. And then some areas will have you kind of going through a path, but they all feel like huge in a weird way. Like all the floors like feel like you're spending a lot of time there and exploring a lot and learning the kind of mechanic of the area more and more. And what I like a lot is like the kind of boss ghosts, you know, like the special ghosts that are like the set pieces, right? The things that you're doing, they have to kind of figure out a thing to do. A lot of the times they become kind of like a character of that floor, right? And so you're kind of interacting or seeing them multiple times throughout the area, and they're like leading you on or chasing you. And then by the time you get to them, like each fight with them is like very elaborate and it uses a lot of different things, and you have to kind of be paying attention to like little cues and whatnot. You have more tools at your disposal. Like essentially there's like 5 different tools that you have at any given time. And they make you use all of them all the time. And that's great. Like there's some real challenge in Luigi's Mansion 3. Like some stuff that was like, this is pretty tough. Like it's nothing like a godly difficult, no Soulsian boss, no like, the Last King or whatever. But it is tougher certainly than Luigi's Mansion 1. And it has you like doing things back and forth and engaging with things that are, you know, like that you've just never seen before. So it feels like such an exploration of what you could do in a Luigi's Mansion game that like compared to the first one, it's just like 20 times as much stuff, 100 times as much stuff, right? And it's pretty long. Like we played for 8 hours, and I don't know how much was left, but at least like 5 to 6 more hours. The time I spent with it, it's like easily already one of my 10 favorite games of the year. Like it's just the quality of what I played was top tier. Like it is. They put as much time and love into this as they would have like Mario Odyssey. It feels like
cool.
And that's the treatment that I feel like Luigi's Mansion has deserved, and I feel like Dark Moon was exactly not that. You know.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
But they went all out with this. Like it looks amazing. It has all these different things and has all these little surprises. And it's just like so charming. I don't know if I've ever played a game this charming. Like everything.
All right, so here's the hard hitting question.
Sure.
How stupid is Gooigi?
Gooigi's the fucking best, man. So like I'll say, because we were playing it co-op for the most part. The co-op is really great, which I was worried that it would kind of feel a little tacked on. Essentially, one player plays as Gooigi, the other plays as Luigi. And I think in some ways it is a little bit because there are just certain things that only Gooigi can do, right? And it was clearly designed in a way that is like, okay, I'm the player and I'm going to switch to Gooigi and then go do this and then switch back to Luigi and then go do this. So like some of the things you kind of like, if you're playing 2-player, like one person's kind of just waiting around for a little bit while the other person has to do the thing that only that person can do, whether it be Luigi walking through rain or going through puddles that Gooigi can't go across, or Gooigi going through vents or grates that Luigi can't go through. But it overall like works really well. And I'll say like Nabeshin about that like watery area that you saw at the end there. That's one of the areas that like felt the most fit for co-op because both players are kind of doing 2 different things at the same time. And they have to kind of stay in communication and stay with each other. But Gooigi's I'll say this, like, to go with the kind of charm part of it, this game is so funny. Like it is just like laugh out loud, very funny, very frequently. Um, like that can't be understated of like, oh, that's so great. And like, so since Luigi is not Luigi, he's just a pile of goo. Like ghosts, there's like I saw a cutscene where like a ghost went up to him and was like, and just like kept trying to like just startle him, and Luigi's just stone faced, just standing there looking ahead into the distance like death itself. And Luigi in the background is like, ah, 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 like every time the ghost is like, I'm gonna go fuck with this dude. This goo pile sucks. And they like play off of that dynamic really well. So it's very funny. The ghosts, like the boss ghosts, are all very funny. The set dressing.
Is there a box ghost?
I don't know yet. There might be.
Shit, if there's a box ghost.
Oh man, I forgot about the box ghost, dude.
The box ghost.
I have come to destroy all your boxes. Yeah, it's great. At the end of the day, it is like Luigi's Mansion, so it is like it's similar moment to moment gameplay. The catching the ghosts and everything is pretty similar. But it adds so much new on top of it. I don't know like what new stuff that Luigi could do in the second one, but in this one you can suck, you can blow, of course.
Okay.
You can do this classic. You can pull both triggers to do like this jump that like sometimes enemies will send waves across the ground and you have to jump over them. It's like a stationary jump. It's just up and down. You can't like jump over ledges or anything. You can use like this black light to like shine this light that'll reveal secrets or things that ghosts have like made invisible or whatever. And you can also like charge up the light so it like does a big flash and stuns ghosts for longer. And you can like shoot this like little plunger, like a little suction cup plunger with a rope attached to it. And then you can like pull on the rope to like throw things or move things or like open heavy doors or something like that. That's pretty much like that. That's the whole thing, right? And then you can switch to Luigi and he can go through grates and vents and like metal bars and stuff. But like this game is like really, really heavy into puzzles. There's tons and tons and tons of puzzles. Like there were whole like floors of the game where we weren't like fighting ghosts in every room. Instead, we were solving puzzles in every room. And they were pretty good. Like they're good puzzles. They're fun. They're not. Some of them were a little tricky. Most of them are not like hard to execute on, but fun to figure out and solve. So like yeah, I would say like it is more about walking around, exploring the space, solving puzzles than it is just about catching ghosts. And I know like Scott, you had said like the second game is about essentially like trying to get through an area and catch as many ghosts and get a high score or whatever. This is more of like live in the space, live in the world. We're telling a story and you're kind of going through it, and the hotel is getting bigger and wider, and you're seeing new stuff as you go through. So it's much more like the first game.
Yep.
Yeah. The
second one was fun to play. The first one was still better.
Yeah.
So if this is just an improved first one, then oh boy.
Yeah, it is like the sequel to the first one, and that I think everyone wanted is the vibe I get. Yeah, it's just great. I can't say enough nice things about it. There's, like I said, there's one part where you're like in a pool floaty, and you have to use the poltergust to like push yourself around, and it like the controls are pretty unwieldy. But aside from that, it's great. Like that's the only like wonky mechanic. And again, like that's just the mechanic for that one level, and then you like move on to another thing. So. Yeah, I can't say enough nice things about it. Like we literally played it all day on Thursday. It was such a great Halloween game, so I'm glad we did that Halloween stream. And it's just so jolly. It's just one of the most charming games I've ever played. I was grinning and smiling most of the time, that whole time.
Scary.
It's a little spooky. It's got some spooky moments. But it's not that scary. There was like one moment where I was like genuinely a little unsettled, and I was like, that was scary. Like that was scary, but it was like they're few and far between. I'll say. Everything else is just you're laughing at Luigi freaking out. I also like just like how much Luigi has grown since the first game, and they kind of lean into that in a fun way. So, yeah, it's great. It's inconceivable for you not to love it in my mind, Scott. Like I think it's exactly what you're looking for right now. So, I played some other stuff though. I played more of the Outer Worlds. I put another like handful of hours into it. So I didn't play like terribly too much, but I got to play quite a bit of it. I just like I cannot get over how impressed I am with the writing in that game. Of just like, and I talked about it a lot last week, so I don't want to harp on too much, but it is like a thing that sticks out to me more and more and more the more I play it. Of just like, man, I feel like I have such agency when I talk to people, right? Like I feel like the dialogue before me is like appropriate or actually lines up with things that I would want to say. And I feel like you're always kind of like fitting yourself into whatever categories the game is laying out for you. Of like, I'm thinking about Dragon Age Inquisition, for example, right? You have the kind of intelligent or thought, like more logic driven reply, or the sarcastic reply, the like aggro reply, right? And they're all kind of in those categories. So you have an idea of the tone of this. Whereas this Outer Worlds has like more specific kind of dialogue options that don't necessarily lead anywhere, right? It's not about dictating your karma or the type of character that you're trying to make. It's just like stuff that you would ask a person, right? Like, oh, how did you feel about that? Like, I don't know any game where I was able to ask someone, or any game like this, right? Like a Bethesda-esque RPG or like a BioWare-esque RPG where it's where you can just like ask someone how they're feeling, you know, like how do you feel, like how did that my decision there make you feel to one of your party members, and they'll tell you, and it you can from there like the dialogue will kind of branch out where sometimes like you'll talk about like ideologies or different philosophies, right? You'll just kind of talk about like, yeah, I would have done this thing differently, and you're like, well, why would you have done it like that? And they'll be like, you know, the way I was raised, I feel like these kinds of people just get away with everything that they've done, and we need to kind of take every opportunity I get. It's not about fucking people over, it's just about staying alive. And it's like, okay, like I really see where you're coming from with that. And the characters feel more real when you give them dialogue like that. So it's really cool. The game that the Outer Worlds is most like is Mass Effect 1, weirdly enough. Because you get a crew, or like you get your team members, and you have a spaceship, right? When you go into this spaceship, there's kind of like a galaxy map that you can look around and select a place to go. And when you disembark from the spaceship, it's like, all right, pick 2 party members from this like list of 6 options that like 2 of the holes are still blank for me. I haven't met all the party members yet, but it's like, all right, pick 2 companions to take with you out into this area. And it's like, oh, cool. And what's great is like if you take certain people on certain side quests, like there's this I forget her name. I think it might be Ellie. I don't know. I just recruited her, and I'm so bad with names, but let's just call her Ellie for now. She's like a doctor. And I was doing this quest for another like medic on like a colony ship or whatever. And she's like, hey, like I haven't heard from this person in a while. Can you go to this colony and see if they're okay and see if they're going to get our medical supplies here because the people here need them. And you go, and I brought the doctor with me, and she's like totally separate from that other person. But when we got to the mission, it was some like very cocky, very like trying to think of like a good pop culture comparison. Very like full of himself, but like probably shouldn't be kind of dude. Like a action movie hero that's actually a scumbag kind of guy. And I met him, and the doctor, Ellie, who was with me, was like, this fucking guy. And I'm like, oh, you know this dude? And she's like, yeah, we shouldn't trust him. And he's like right there. He's like, I'm right fucking here. It's good to see you again too. And then they had like a little banter, and then that opened up a couple other dialogue options. And then we finished, and I was like, what was that all about? And she's like, I'll tell you later. And then when we got on the ship, she told me about it. I'm like, yeah, we did this one thing this one time. It was a whole fucking thing. I'm like, oh, okay. But it was cool that just bringing that companion with me opened up that dialogue. It very much reminded me of like Mass Effect. More like I feel like they did that kind of stuff in Mass Effect 2 and 3 more often, but that was cool. It was cool like that this kind of person I had recruited felt like a person that was in this world that knew other people in the world, right? Like maybe small world, whatever, but we ran into some person that they just happened to know, and we had a weird kind of awkward moment about it, and then we talked about it later. It just the every part of the writing in that game feels really organic, in a way that just none of those games have ever come close to, for me at least, not for a while. I'm feeling more and more that, Tony, that maybe you should give the Outer Worlds a shot. I'm not putting any pressure on you, but I'm just putting it on your radar. I don't know about you, Scott, because I don't know. I feel like we all got burned by Fallout 4 to some extent. I don't know.
I didn't.
Yeah, Scott, you didn't play that, right? You dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
But
I was like, hey, that's a bullet.
I'm gonna move to the side. I feel like,
And you're all like, nah, it's not. And I was like, yeah, kind of.
it was a $60 bullet I took right to the leg. But I think this, I don't want to say it's like the Fallout 4 that should have been, but it has a little bit of that DNA in a way that's not shitty, and it's also very Mass Effect 1, in like all the ways that I liked Mass Effect 1. No Mako or anything, just the good stuff. So, I would recommend it. I'm gonna try and get Nabeshin to play it too. But that's not the only thing I played this week. I got more Destiny to talk about. Everybody's favorite segment. Not too much to say, but they did update. There was a big update this week. Added some quests. The Festival of the Lost started this week, which is their Halloween event. But most importantly, they added essentially the new dungeon opened up, and it's cool because so like a dungeon is a different kind of like mission that they introduced with the Forsaken expansion. It's what it sounds like. It's like a dungeon. It's essentially like a 3-man raid is how it plays out. The first one, which is called the Shattered Throne, like that one was cool because essentially week to week the area of the Forsaken expansion, the Dreaming City, would change, and it was on a 3-week cycle. And on the third week, when like everything was all weird and messed up, those were the only weeks, like every third week was the only week that you could access the Shattered Throne. It's accessible all the time now, and this new dungeon is accessible all the time, I believe. But it was cool that like
hold on.
Mm-hmm.
They call it a dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. Are you? I could have sworn they were called strikes.
So there are strikes is another thing. That's a separate thing. This is like different than a strike, and I'll explain why in a little bit.
Okay.
These are a lot more elaborate. Like they're a lot longer. They're more like raids, but they're not as crazy as those are. And I'll kind of explain why. But they've done one of these before, and I really like the Shattered Throne. It was like very difficult the first time I did it. But it's cool, you know, like it was like a different area. It was more about like kind of going through an environment and solving puzzles, right? Like you would think a dungeon would be, than it was necessarily about the kind of standard Destiny fare, or like a strike, you know. So I thought it was cool, and I was like, okay, I want them to do more dungeons. But so this one, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's got a very weird name. The Well of Heresy, I think it is. The Pit of Heresy. So this one, it was cool because launching Destiny this week, you get a new cutscene, which they've never really done something like that before. They've dabbled, But essentially, like this expansion feels more like the story is kind of changing week to week, and progressing week to week, right? So the cutscene you see kind of sets up what the dungeon is all about, and then you do a few things. It's cool too. They added like a new type of public event to the world as well. It just kind of started happening. That ties into the Pit of Heresy and all that. So the dungeon's a 3-person dungeon, right? You are going basically into the depths of the moon. And I wasn't sure if the dungeon was going to be like Hive themed, like the main Shadowkeep campaign, or Vex themed, like this current season is. It's definitely Hive themed. But essentially, the dungeon is split into 4 major areas, right? And what's cool about like this versus pretty much anything else in Destiny is like they're very big areas that it just says like, all right, you need to kind of walk around, explore, and figure out what you got to do here. So like the first area is like this huge series of towers along a wall, and essentially you have to figure out like which towers you need to go to and solve like a different puzzle in each tower to open up the doorway to the next area. And it's like just a massive area, like just a single area to explore. It's huge. I don't know if I'm trying to think of like an explorable area like in an event that is comparable in size, and I don't think there's anything like it. Like maybe one of the raids, but nothing quite on this scale. And it's like you just have like a lot of freedom to kind of walk around, to look for secrets, to find stuff. And they very much encourage you to do so. And there's like hidden bits of lore and stuff throughout it. So like from encounter to encounter, it is more like, oh, you come into a new area and there's like a kind of mechanic to it. But it is more about like just figuring out how to use that mechanic to solve the puzzle to progress. And they're cool puzzles. Like one of the areas was like a bunch of doorways that you had to kind of figure out where you had to slip through them. But there's like hidden secrets that actually leads to an exotic quest in that area. Another area was like this big maze where these giant unkillable ogres were like sundering around. You had to kind of sneak your way through the maze, and open these 3 doorways to get to the next area. Again, like just a big area that you're kind of free to walk around and explore a little bit more than normal. And then it all kind of culminates into the boss, which is very much like a raid boss, right? Like a kind of end raid boss that is driven by the mechanics that they set up throughout the dungeon. It's like, like a dungeon light, but you have to be kind of paying attention and solving the puzzles in order to understand what you're going to need to do next. So they set it all up well, and each thing kind of organically leads into the next thing. So like I played it with Mike Burgess, and our friend Jeff, who is also part of our raid team. And I played the previous dungeon with Jacob Palmer and Ren, who were 2 of the other members of our raid team. So it was like, okay, I get to play this like first look. None of us know anything about this dungeon. We're all going in blind. And we just like figured it out as we went. Like we talked through it. We all threw out ideas. And it's not like a raid where like things are a little bit more obtuse and it kind of takes a lot of doing to solve. It is a little bit more straightforward, but equally, like I would say, like they threaded the needle on difficulty to make it like as you go through it, if you're figuring it out, it feels really satisfying to kind of click everything together and then just execute on it, right? And it feels satisfying and doable and challenging, right? They like checked all the boxes, so everything like works to make it just a really fun long, dungeon to explore, right? Like it felt like I was going on a little adventure, a little mini adventure, solving mini puzzles and stuff. It took us about 2.5 hours, but just wandering around, taking our time. But it was like excellent. Honestly, like it was one of my favorite things I've done in Destiny, which I feel like I'm adding more and more to that list every time I play or every time they add something new. And it was great. I just had a great time. It was mostly, like I said, the company, certainly, but being able to kind of figure everything out with the visual language that they were using to teach us. And I think they nailed it. It addressed everything that I kind of had qualms with the Shattered Throne, the last dungeon, where it's like, this feels too long, or like this doesn't make sense, or like this part just isn't that fun to do, but like the next part is fun to do, or like all these things feel kind of separate. Whereas this, everything was great. Everything felt kind of connected to each other. We didn't get stuck on any one thing for too long. And there was no like weird spikes in difficulty or like leaps of logic, which I think Destiny sometimes has succumbed to, especially leaps of logic. But they just nailed it with this one, and I'm super happy with it. I had a great time. Shout out to Jeff and Mike for running through that with me and spending a lot of time there. And tomorrow, we did not end up raiding this last weekend. We took the weekend off because somebody had to edit a podcast. Not me, actually, as it turned out. But tomorrow, we're finishing the fight. We're ending the Garden of Salvation raid. We're ending it. We're beating it. I know. I believe in us. We've got it. But I say that now. But we'll see how I'm doing at like 6 p.m. tomorrow, like 6 hours into that raid. But that's all I've been playing. Nabeshin, are you back?
Yes.
I want you to think about checking out The Outer Worlds.
I've done that
Okay, have you checked it out?
for a good 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay. I like. Again, I said this to Tony earlier. While you had to step out for a bit. I get really big Mass Effect 1 vibes from it. And I didn't get that until about 3 hours in, just so you know, like once you get your ship and stuff. But it's very Mass Effect 1. In all the good ways, I would say. If that helps move the needle at all, I just wanted to throw it out there. I think that's it for video games. Question, because I didn't play any news this week. But Nabeshin, do you think you could think of a bet for me while I go through this last bit? Okay, thank you. I also didn't ask for questions this week because I forgot, and also I was very tired today. But if you'd like to send your questions, you can tweet them at IrrationalPod, or use the hashtag IPQ. It does make it easier for me to find. You can leave us a voicemail at 404-590-1337. Do not set that as like your point of contact for like a job interview or anything. Just like throwing it out there. And you can send us an email, mailsack at irrationalpassions.com. It's the email address. If you like the show, you should follow everything that we do at Irrational Pod, Irrational Passions on Instagram, the two social media platforms IP has decided to vest itself in. And you can see all the hard work George puts into the social stuff and all the cool stuff that we do on the website. If you don't know, you can check out irrationalpassions.com. Check out that RPG primer, or check out the Luigi's Mansion 1 book club that Scott White, Jess Cogswell, and I just did. Just check out all the good stuff, all that front page stuff. Watch George's Monkey Ball review. It's great. Some other stuff. If you like the show, please rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you listen to the show, Spotify. Check out some of our other shows right now. The only one up and running is RPG University. Great show every other week with Scott White, where he sits down with a different guest and talks about one of their favorite RPGs, their best memories with it, and some tips and tricks for it too if you've never played it. It's super great. It's very like nostalgic and very heartfelt and wholesome. So absolutely check it out. And like I said, irrationalpassions.com is the place to be. Short show this week, which is great because I'm a sleepy boy. But we've reached the end of the show, which means it's time for bets. I didn't give you a lot of time, though.
Yeah, I'm still writing it out. So.
It's okay. We can now. If you've never listened to the podcast before, bets is a segment we do at the end of the show, inspired by the wonderful folks over at Easy Allies.
But they can't They can't guess what we do during that segment.
We make bets.
Yeah.
It's a big
As it
surprise.
turns out.
As it turns out. Nothing but bets. So the tricky thing is, so like normally we'll go over this week's bet, make a bet, last week's bet, and figure out who won. Last week's bet was like us predicting what we think the 5 Game Awards Game of the Year nominees are going to be, which have not been announced. I assume those will probably get announced toward the end of November. Or I guess the nominees would be announced probably mid-November. And then the polls will open and people will submit. So we can't necessarily resolve last week's bet, but I'm very I'm seeing what you're writing here, Nabeshin, and I'm a big fan. This week's bet, written by Mr. Brian Nabeshin Jackson. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 comes out November 5th, which is Tuesday, right around the corner. In the launch trailer for that game, how many sick, and I put that in as strong air quotes as I can, how many sick jumps will we see? Now, do we want to like, who is going to determine if the jump is sick or not? We have
Me.
Tony?
Tony's gonna do it.
Tony's going to do it. Okay, I'm good with that. As long as we know who it is, I feel like we can make an informed bet on that. So now, Tony, can you
find me a gif of a jump right now? I'll tell you if it's sick or not. That's how good I am.
Damn. so Sony can actually, or Sony, Jesus, Tony can touch the screen on your computer if a GIF is playing, and he'll tell you if the jump is sick. It just talks to him like that.
All right, let me give you an example.
Okay, what's a sick jump, Tony?
Not a sick jump. This GIF is not a sick jump.
Okay, you're sending it.
Right?
That's
Can
not
we
a
all
sick
agree?
jump?
Not a sick jump. That's
Okay.
just a jump.
That's just a jump.
Okay. You want to see a sick jump though?
Yeah.
Here's a sick jump.
What the fuck, Tony?
This is a sick jumps, dude.
This is a good barometer for everyone at home. I know only video listeners are going to be able to see the GIFs that go along with that, but trust me, you're not missing much.
Come on, everyone can agree. Sick jumps.
Apparently everyone can agree but the 4 of us on what a sick
He's
jump
got
is.
he's got great form.
Why did you have to open this wound again? It's like weird. It's the most memorable bit of Irrational Passions 2019, certainly. Okay, so in Mario and Sonic and the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, in the launch trailer, how many sick jumps will we see? I will start us off.
I feel like I'm not qualified to bet if I'm going to jump.
I mean, you don't know, so well.
That is true, though.
I'll just let Alex pick 2 numbers.
Okay.
Sure.
But here's the thing: if I'm betting for Tony, I'm going to come at it from his perspective. So I am going to have high standards.
Why don't you text somebody real fast? Text Jarrett John.
Okay, I'll text Jarrett the bet.
I don't know why I call him Jarrett John. Jarrett Green.
Jarrett Green,
Jarrett John.
the man who Johns, Mr. Jarrett. Okay, Jarrett, how many sick jumps will be in the Sonic Olympic Games launch trailer?
I'm gonna say 2 for my bet.
I said 2. That's fine.
Sure.
Tony's going to be Jarrett. Scott, what do you think?
I'm going for 0.
0 sick jumps.
0 sick jumps.
Now, Tony, don't you dare let these answers skew you.
Oh, sorry, I'm not listening.
I mean, what? What did he say? Jared has not replied yet. I don't necessarily expect him to reply within 2 minutes, but I will let you know if he does reply, and then we'll add it there. But I will get his bet in. Don't worry. I also have to like replay the tapes on the last bet, which I still haven't done yet, but I will. I promise. I've just been busy this week. That's it. That's the show. That's the whole thing.
Guys, I just keep looking at this fucking trampoline dog.
The dog jumping on the trampoline. He looks like he's having a good time.
That's what I'm saying. Those jumps are sick.
I don't know if the jumps have to be sick for them to be
Look
fun.
how much air he's getting. That's a small dog.
It's like a bull, like a pit bull.
He's getting no air for a trampoline, dude.
Like, if you look at the jump directly above, that person's obviously overacting. Like, look at her leg.
Like, who would move like that, you know?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Now,
What are you reaching for?
Well, that's the
Fucking
thing.
despair?
There's no landing. How can you tell? So I agree.
yeah,
She could be
it's not a
jumping
jump
forever.
if it doesn't land.
It's true. Yeah. She like it's like she, she starts the jump and then remembers that it was all a memory being replayed because she's, a character in Black Mirror.
Really? Is that from Black Mirror? I don't know.
No,
No, it says Power Rangers right there.
It
yeah,
does.
it's from Power Rangers. No, but there's an episode of Black Mirror where they can all of their life, all their memories are recorded and they can replay it. And
Oh yeah, I
over and over
heard
again
about
shit.
this.
So that they're just rewatching it over and over again. That was the pull. It didn't land,
It's all right. I've never watched
just
Black
like this
Mirror.
jump.
I'm curious, Tony. I just want to ask you a question, and then we can close out the show. Do you think Shadow the Hedgehog is capable of making a sick jump?
Yeah, I think he's also capable of making sick grinds.
It's true. Get those sick gains on my sick grinds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. They got like metal insoles in their shoes or whatever.
Something that makes all those sparks fly.
Yeah, because it definitely isn't a rubber soled shoe.
It's true. I'm curious, like,
I need to know the logistics of how Sonic grinds on rails.
Look up soap shoes.
Soap shoes?
Yeah,
They're called-
soap shoe.
Yeah, they're called soap shoes.
wait, really?
Never had them myself,
Yes.
but I
Oh,
was the same size as somebody else who let me try them.
Yeah, I always wanted them. Never got them.
Whoa! I didn't know these were like a real thing.
Yeah, you had an option, one of them which was bad, the other one which was more reasonable. You either waxed the bottom of your shoe,
What the fuck? Dude,
or you waxed the spot that you were trying to grind on.
I googled does Sonic wear soap shoes and literally
Jarrett Green responded, and he said like at least 7. So
officially licensed soap shoes for Sonic.
now I want to say
Tony, Alex, what the fuck?
what?
You weren't supposed to tell Tony.
Oh,
I literally didn't hear what he was saying. I was reading the Sonic.fandom.
Good.
it's all right. So now you guys know, and Tony doesn't, so it worked out. He can also listen to this podcast. I hate to break it to you.
Why would I ever do that?
Jared also said sick jumps is Sonic's whole shot. Shit. Separate text. I want you guys to know that I Google image search soap shoes, and it shows like suggested things at the top, and it's Sonic Adventure 2, and Grind. I feel like we've learned a
there you
lot
go.
today, Nabeshin. I feel like you've taught us much. That's it. That's the show. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in, for hanging out, for stopping by. I know there's a lot of extra live streams happening today, so we only had a couple people stop in. But thank you to Mike and Scott for stopping by. Thank you to Danny Wiesner for our opening music of Two Player Co-op and our closing music of The World Is Saved. Great tracks. Check them out. DannyWiesner.bandcamp.com. Can still support him, and you should. He's an optometrist. He's got to pay those bills. Got those doctor bills. I don't know if that's how that works, actually. Thank you to Tony, Nabeshin, Scott, joining me, as always. I love you, boys. Big hugs all the way around. Thanks, everyone, again, so much for listening. I've been your host, Alex O'Neill. Play your games. Stay rational. We will talk to you all next week. The only title that matters. Soap shoes. I'm trying to think that we didn't really have any bits this.
No, other than the controller stuff before the show.
Yeah, which was good. That's just for the bonus people. Soap shoes. I didn't know about this. I feel like I've been like...
They were literally all over that game.
Yeah, but did they like brand them in that game?
Yeah, they were officially branded soap shoes.
I think I remember seeing soap logos in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Yeah. I guess that's just...
Wait, what happened to all the other titles?
That's it.
Oh, there's only one.
There's
I
only
wasn't
one.
paying attention that much. Sorry.
You're
No,
good.
it's all good. I just assumed there would be many.
Sometimes there are many. Sometimes there are few.
Tony said something really good at the beginning of the show before we even got to the controller stuff. But I forgot what it was.
It's all right. Me too. They're all gems. So
Yeah, I mean Tony Horvath is just a cornucopia of gems.
fact.
I'm good with that.
Sure.
I'll say the title. I don't know if I've said the
Okay.
title in a minute. No. Did I say it last week? I don't remember.
No.
Somebody say the number. I trust you guys to figure it out. I misplaced my trust. It's episode
In a world.
Yeah, it's episode 446. I'll just wait.
In a world where Irrational Passions podcast has recorded 446 episodes, the one you're listening to right now would be called
Soap shoes. Ba-dum-bum. I like that one, Tammy. That was good.
That was off the top of the dome.
I liked it.
I thought you were gonna go into your whole whatever the fuck that shit was.
The ultimate version, IP
Yes.
uncut, unedited.
In a world where Alex O'Neill cannot edit the podcast, Tony Horvath.
That shit was
That
so
was
good.
so good, Tony.
That was a great episode of the podcast.
That was a
It
great
was.
show. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Have a good night. Bye, Nicole. I know you're watching this later. I see you.